Hey everyone, Diavolo here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the impacts and the reality of Jujutsu Kaisens' return. To do this, I'm going to be going in depth on what I see possibly happening throughout the next few chapters and how the previous Zenin arc has impacted the Jujutsu world. But before we get into all of that, if you are new around here and want to keep up to date with the latest JJK reviews, One Piece reviews, One Punch Man reviews, and Tokyo Revengers reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a like on the video if you do enjoy my content, as that really helps out with the algorithm. But enough of that, let's get into the video. Let's start off with Maki and her Zenin clan massacre. So I've seen people disputing whether Maki's mother killed Naoya, and as silly as it sounds, I honestly think that he is dead. In a conversation between Naoya and Maki's mother in which they were talking about the twins, Naoya said, "Maki may be pretty, but she's unacceptable. She doesn't know how to support a man. Any woman who can't walk 3 steps behind a man should get stabbed in the back and die." Obviously, we didn't pay much attention to the foreshadowing, but literally after chapter 152, I think it's evidently obvious that he has died from the wound. So I see chapter 153 possibly starting off with the confirmed death of Naoya and leading into the higher-ups who were discussing the possible removal of the Zenin clan from the big three, like we saw at the end of chapter 152. I see it kind of just explaining a bit more on what the higher-ups know about what's happened with the Zenin clan and its mass murder. I don't see them realizing that it was Maki, and I feel like they'll be completely unable to figure out who it was, probably assuming it had something to do with Suedo Gedo, or now known as Kenjaku. I've got this feeling that all these higher-ups that we haven't seen yet will be revealed, especially if Gege decides to take this route of showing the impact of the Zenin clan's defeat, and how they could all be freaking out about the possible collapse of the society they seem to manipulate and control. When it comes to the rest of the group, we know that Yuta has decided to head into the so-called curtain and I guess start collecting points. Although it's possible we could go immediately into more combat and get a bunch more action with Okotsu taking on a variety of different people with varying techniques, I feel it's more likely that I'd say this chapter and perhaps 154 as well will be quite chill and more likely information dumps so that characters can catch up on the whole Zenin ordeal, learn about Maki and her newfound strength, and possibly more info on Kenjaku and this game master that we know so little about. If you haven't seen my theory on the Archangel system that I think Kenjaku has chosen, then be sure to check that out and I'll leave a link in the description below, as I feel like we need to have 1 or 2 more new characters that can fit certain roles of specific Archangels. As we know, Gege does take some inspiration from differing religions, folk tales, and stories, so I could see him choosing to follow this Judo-Christianity path and introducing to us the Archangels towards the end of this chapter. I could be completely wrong though, and we could have the entire chapter with Yuji and Megumi, who are getting ready for the culling game. Perhaps Megumi's domain expansion is now complete, and we will get to see some kind of hints at how he has improved his skills and refined them to the point that Gojo would be somewhat impressed by his growth. With Yuji, I'm personally hoping that he gains some kind of technique for himself. So over these days before the culling game starts to commence, I can see him possibly having an inner conflict with Sukuna, in which Sukuna decides to teach Yuji for some reason how to use the reverse curse technique and perhaps even his malevolent shrine. This is kind of something I just see eventually happening anyway. I don't know if it'll be because Yuji is a possible distant relative of Sukuna and has the genes to unlock these abilities, or that his uncanny ability to pick up new things and make them his own, like the Black Flash, which at the moment has kind of turned into Yuji's ability more than anything else. We've seen him use it a total of 9 times, which is more than all other character appearances that use Black Flash all put together. So it would be such a development for his character, and also this inner conflict he is facing with Sukuna would be faced in some way or another, especially if Yuji expects to get stronger. It's like Megumi said, we're just Jujutsu sorcerers, they ain't heroes, and people die. It's something that Itadori is going to have to come to a realization with, like he did in his fight with Mahito, where he realized if he actually wanted to help them, then he technically had to hurt and kill them to put them out of their misery, because there was no possible way of reverting them back to a human. There is still 2 or just under 2 weeks or so, I think, before they have to enter the curtain. So if you think about how it was 19 days that they had to appear in the barrier since it was initially formed, and with Maki and her mini Zenin arc, I'd say it'll probably skip a week forward, maybe leaving us with probably 10 to 13 days until they have to enter the curtain. So to end the video off, the reality that JJK returns and completely blows everyone's expectations is an extremely likely possibility. I feel like once we get properly into this culling game arc, it's going to make the Shibuya arc look like the Goodwill event. I feel like the Shibuya arc will still obviously be the first big arc, but after what I'm expecting to happen with the current culling game arc, it's going to make people literally freak out. And these previous chapters with the Zenin family massacre is just a little taster, letting us know what we are all in for. But anyway, for now, it's been your professional degenerate, Diavolo, and I'll see you all in a bit. Bye.